What if I told you that the reason you get angry has nothing to do with other people and everything to do with a war happening inside you? You think they disrespected you. You think they upset you. You think they triggered you. But Marcus Aurelius revealed a disturbing truth: no one can harm your mind if you don't hand them the keys. And most of us hand those keys away every single day. Imagine this: someone insults you, and instead of reacting, your mind stays calm, clear, untouchable. Someone tries to provoke you, and their chaos collapses against your emotional walls. Someone betrays you, and instead of breaking, you see through their confusion with a stoic clarity that makes anger impossible. That version of you exists. You just haven't unlocked it yet. Because anger isn't a reflex. It's a choice wearing the mask of instinct. And when you understand why you get angry, who truly controls your emotions, and how a Roman emperor conquered every impulse trying to own him, you'll never be angry at anyone or anything ever again. Let me show you how. Part 1. The moment Marcus almost lost control. There is a moment in every human life that you can almost feel tightening in your chest. A moment when someone says something careless or cruel or disrespectful, and before your body even reacts, your mind is already burning. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man is to calm, the nearer he is to strength, and strength begins in that fragile space between stimulus and response, in the very second when anger rises and demands to be fed." Today we begin with the moment the emperor himself, the most disciplined man of his age, almost lost control. So take a slow breath with me in and out and listen closely. It was the winter of 171 AD. The Roman army was dying from disease, hunger, and cold. Historical records estimate that more than 60,000 soldiers perished that year, not by swords but by sickness and starvation. Marcus Aurelius, exhausted and sleep-deprived, walked into his command tent. Before he could sit, a young officer burst in, shouting accusations, pointing fingers, drowning in his own rage. The emperor lifted his eyes slowly, calmly. The officer expected punishment, expected fire, expected thunder. Instead, Marcus asked, "Why do you allow another man's chaos to rule your inner world?" And the tent fell silent. Because anger does not begin in the behavior of others, it begins in the power we give their behavior inside our own mind. Marcus revealed the first Stoic truth: people don't disturb you. Your interpretation disturbs you. In Meditations, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Modern psychology agrees. A 2022 Harvard study found that more than 83% of emotional pain comes not from the insult itself, but from rumination, what we replay, what we amplify, the story we tell ourselves. Say it quietly with me: it's not the event, it is my interpretation. Now, breather set. Marcus placed a hand on the officer's shoulder and said, "Walk with me." Outside, cold winds tore through the camp. Tired men huddled around weak fires. The air smelled of smoke, wool, and winter. "Look around," Marcus said. "Every man here suffers, but only you have decided suffering gives you permission to be cruel." The officer froze. "He wronged you," Marcus continued, "but you wrong yourself when you give him ownership of your peace." This is the emperor's first lesson. Anger is a choice disguised as a reaction. Until you see it as a choice, you will never be free. Think about your life. The last time someone triggered you. A rude message, a disrespectful coworker, a family member who pushed your buttons. Neuroscience proves that emotional impulses last only 90 seconds unless we feed them with thought. 90 seconds. That is all anger is, unless you keep pouring fuel on it. Marcus understood this long before science confirmed it. He told the officer, "A man who angers you becomes your master." He repeated it 3 times so the officer would never forget. No one deserves that power. This is the Stoic shift, not, "How do I stop being angry, but why am I giving this person power over me?" So try this now. Picture someone who upset you. Ask, did they disturb me, or did my thoughts disturb me? What story did I create? Did I give them authority over my mood? Is this worth 10 minutes of my life, 10 hours, 10 days? Marcus would answer for you. No external harm is worth internal destruction. Whisper it softly: I reclaim my inner authority. At the end of their walk, Marcus said, "When a man behaves foolishly, you can suffer twice or not at all. Twice if you relive it, not at all if you let it go. Return to duty, he told the officer. Return to reason. And that brings us to the final insight of part one. You don't control others. You control the meaning you assign to them. That meaning creates your peace or your pain. So before we continue, take a breath. In and out. If this first lesson shifted something inside you, hold that feeling. Because in part two, we explore the Stoic reversal, the technique Marcus used to dissolve anger almost instantly by understanding why people behave the way they do. Let's continue. Part two, the Stoic reversal. Understanding why people behave badly makes you untouchable. Before we step into the next lesson, take one steady breath. In and out, let's unlock one of the most disarming Stoic tools Marcus Aurelius ever mastered, the technique called the Stoic reversal. Once you understand it, your relationship with conflict, disrespect, and disappointment transforms forever. Shortly after the moment in part one, another disturbance reached Marcus' tent. A Roman traitor had publicly insulted the emperor during a grain dispute. Soldiers expected rage. They expected punishment because in Rome, insulting the emperor was nearly a capital offense. But Marcus responded with only one sentence. If he truly understood, he would not have said such things. And just like that, the insult collapsed under its own weight. This is the Stoic reversal. Marcus believed no person does wrong willingly. He learned this from Epictetus, who taught, when someone harms you, remember he acts out of ignorance of the good. To the Stoics, every harmful action has a single root: lack of wisdom, not malice, not cruelty, ignorance. A man who yells is overwhelmed by emotion. A man who insults is ruled by insecurity. A man who betrays is blinded by fear. A man who disrespects you is trapped inside an internal war you know nothing about. Once you see this, you stop taking things personally. Say it softly. People act from their wounds, not from wisdom. And modern science agrees. A Stanford study from 2019 showed that more than 70% of hostile behavior comes from unresolved internal stress, not from the person standing in front of them. People aren't reacting to you, they're reacting to their anxiety, their trauma, their identity struggles, their fear of losing control. Marcus understood this intuitively, so he responded with compassion. Because why be angry at someone who cannot even manage their own mind? Marcus had a rule: when someone mistreats you, ask, is this person in control of themselves? If the answer is no, and it almost always is, then anger is unnecessary. He wrote, to do harm is to harm oneself. To do injustice is to wound one's own soul. The person hurting you is already suffering. You do not need to carry their pain. When the soldiers asked Marcus whether to punish the insulting traitor, he said no. He is already punished, for he must live with a mind in turmoil. This is the height of stoicism. You stop asking, why is he doing this to me? And begin asking, what is happening inside him that makes him act this way? In the moment you make that shift, anger dissolves. Conflict becomes clarity. Insult becomes insight. So take a breath. In, out, and whisper, it's not personal. Now apply the Stoic reversal to your life. Think of the co-worker who snapped at you, the friend who disappointed you, the partner who pulled away, the stranger who disrespected you. Instead of reacting, say, if they truly understood, they would not have acted this way. You shift from emotion to wisdom, from reaction to interpretation. That is the beginning of emotional immunity. Marcus trained himself to see harmful behavior as confusion, not attack. When someone offends you, he wrote, consider what good or harm he believes he is pursuing. Once you understand this, your anger will dissolve. And he was right. When you see what they believe, anger loses its grip. You stop feeling attacked. You start feeling informed. Try the Stoic empathy exercise. Bring to mind someone who upset you. Ask, what insecurity might they be hiding? What fear drives them? What misunderstanding fed the conflict? What pain are they carrying silently? This is not about excusing behavior. It's about reclaiming peace. Because peace comes from understanding, not confrontation. Say it softly. Their chaos is not my responsibility. Marcus ended the lesson with a line that has survived centuries. The best way to avenge yourself is to not become like the wrongdoer. Meaning, do not mirror their anger. Do not reflect their weakness. Rise above it. Rise above them. Rise above your own ego. And when you do, you unlock emotional immunity, the rare power to stay calm in chaos, steady in conflict, and untouchable in the presence of disrespect. If this part awakens something inside you, hold on to it. Because in part 3, we move to the most practical Stoic tool of all, the famous question Marcus asked himself every morning, is this within my control? Once you understand this filter, you stop wasting emotional energy on things that never deserved it, and your life becomes dramatically lighter. Let's continue to part 3. Part 3. The Stoic filter, is this within my control? Take a slow breath with me before we begin. Part 3. In and out. Now we enter one of the most practical, most powerful, and most misunderstood Stoic tools in existence. A tool Marcus Aurelius used every single morning of his life. A filter so simple that people overlook it, and so profound that it can erase anger, frustration, disappointment, and fear in seconds. It begins with one question. Is this within my control? Marcus wrote in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This wasn't philosophy for him. This was survival. And to understand how deeply Marcus used this tool, we need to go to one of the darkest periods of his life. The weight of an empire. It was during the Marcomannic Wars. The empire was collapsing under plague, famine, rebellion, bankruptcy, and endless attacks at the northern frontier. Every morning, messengers would arrive at Marcus's camp, carrying bad news: another province in upheaval, another general dead, another city unable to send grain, another betrayal within the Senate, another wave of Germanic tribes burning Roman outposts. Any ordinary man would have broken. Any ordinary ruler would have exploded in rage. But each morning, Marcus began his day with the same silent ritual. He would sit close, his eyes breathe deeply, and ask, which of these things can I control? Then he would answer himself, only my judgments, only my actions, only my inner state. Everything else was noise. Everything else was wind. Everything else was not his to carry. Reset. Say it with me softly. If it's not mine to control, it's not mine to suffer. The story of the fallen legend. One morning, a messenger entered trembling. He announced that an entire Roman legion, over 5,000 soldiers, had been wiped out in a surprise attack. The room erupted in panic. Officers shouted blame. Generals demanded punishment. Some even accused Marcus of negligence. But the emperor, still seated, still breathing, slowly asked one question: can I change what has already happened? Silence. He continued, if I cannot change it, then I will not suffer it. I will only choose the best action next. And immediately the entire emotional storm in the room dissolved. One question stopped anger. One question stopped panic. One question restored clarity. Is this within my control? The psychology behind the filter. Cognitive scientists call this mental process locus of control restructuring. Studies from Yale show that when people categorize events into controllable and not controllable, emotional intensity drops by over 42%. Marcus didn't need neuroscience to know this. He observed that humans suffer more from trying to control what was never theirs. People's opinions, people's moods, people's mistakes, people's reactions, the weather, the economy, time, the past, death, illness, delay, injustice, fate. He wrote, you lose your peace when you try to control what the universe never gave you. Reset, breathe, in and out. Let that line settle inside you. The argument that never began. There was a moment recorded by one of Marcus's secretaries. A senator confronted Marcus in public, screaming, accusing him of incompetence, spitting words of slander directly into his face. The entire forum froze. Everyone expected the emperor to retaliate. But Marcus simply asked, is this man's mind under my control? The answer was obvious. No. Then Marcus walked away. Not out of cowardice, not out of weakness, but out of mastery. Afterward, he wrote one of his most famous lines, why be angry at the world as if the world owed you obedience? The Stoic filter teaches this truth. If something is not yours to control, it cannot be your reason to suffer. Applying the filter to your life. Think about the last time you were angry. Maybe someone ignored your message. Maybe someone spoke to you without respect. Maybe someone disappointed you. Maybe traffic delayed you. Maybe life didn't go according to your expectation. Ask it now. Was it within my control? And if the answer is no, then the anger was optional, not inevitable, not mandatory, optional. Marcus believed anger is a misalignment between expectation and reality. You expected the world to behave differently. The world did not, and your mind resisted. Stoicism removes resistance. Reset whisper. This I control my response, not the world. The three-circle Stoic exercise. Marcus taught his son Commodus a practice that survives through the centuries. Imagine three circles. Circle 1. Would I fully control my judgments, my actions, my words, my effort, my discipline? Circle 2. Would I influence relationships, teamwork, health outcomes, opportunities? Circle 3. Would I do not control everything else in the universe? Now here is the Stoic secret. Most anger happens when we try to control circle 3. When someone disrespects you, that is circle 3. When someone judges you unfairly, that is circle 3. When someone betrays you, that is circle 3. When someone lies, breaks promises, or changes, they are circle 3. You cannot control them, but you can control the meaning you assign to them. And that is circle 1, the circle of freedom. A practical test. Try this right now. Think of something that upset you this week. Now place it into a circle. If it belongs in circle 3, you must release it. If it belongs in circle 2, you can guide but not command it. If it belongs in circle 1, you take full responsibility. Marcus wrote, "Do not waste the rest of your life arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Meaning stop debating the uncontrollable. Act on the controllable. The Stoic peace response. When you filter life through control, anger has nowhere to live. It evaporates like mist at sunrise. And here is the deepest Stoic realization. Most things in life are not your responsibility. Your peace, however, always is. Marcus wrote, "Your mind is your kingdom. Rule it well." CTA plus transition to part 4. If this part helped you breathe easier, comment control below. Because in part 4, we go even deeper into Marcus' private method for destroying anger. The Emperor's 3-step rule to kill anger before it controls you. This is the system Marcus used in every battle, every argument, every crisis. Learn it and you will never again be ruled by emotion. Let's continue to part 4. Part 4, the Emperor's 3-step rule to kill anger before it controls you. Take a slow breath with me before we enter. Part 4, in and out, because now we uncover Marcus Aurelius' private system, a 3-step rule he relied on in every crisis, every argument, every betrayal, every moment when anger threatened to take over. A rule so sharp and so simple that once you master it, anger dissolves before it even forms. Marcus didn't invent this rule for philosophy. He invented it for survival because an emperor who cannot control himself becomes a danger to an entire empire. And so this rule became his anchor. It begins with step 1. Step 1, pause the first impulse. Marcus wrote, "The first reaction is not within your control. The second is, modern neuroscience confirms it. Your initial emotional impulse fires from the amygdala, primitive, fast, unfiltered, but your second response comes from the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, judgment, and restraint. And here's the shocking part. If you pause for just 2 seconds, your brain shifts from emotional impulse to rational control. 2 seconds. That's all. Marcus trained himself to pause in the most intense situations. There is a story recorded by historians. A general burst into Marcus' tent, yelling that another commander had betrayed him. Sabotaged supplies, defied orders. Soldiers expected Marcus to explode. Instead, he looked down, breathed slowly, and said nothing for nearly 10 full seconds. When he finally spoke, he said, "I let the first emotion pass. Now I will let wisdom speak." The entire tent froze. Because in that moment, Marcus proved something profound. Anger isn't defeated by force. Anger is defeated by delay. Pause the first impulse and anger dies stillborn. Reset, whisper this, "I am not my first reaction." Step 2, assume ignorance. Not malice, this rule is the most misunderstood, the most uncomfortable, and the most powerful. Marcus wrote, "People do not do wrong deliberately. They do wrong because they do not know what is right." Seneca echoed it. No man becomes angry at the things he truly understands. The Stoics believed that almost all harmful actions come from ignorance, insecurity, fear, chaos, emotional immaturity, lack of training, pain no one sees. When someone disrespects you, Stoicism says they are not evil. they are untrained. When someone insults you, they are not malicious, they are wounded. When someone betrays you, they are not cruel, they are afraid. And when someone lashes out, they are not powerful, they are drowning. Marcus practiced this belief relentlessly. Once a senator publicly accused Marcus of mishandling funds. Every witness knew the accusation was absurd. But Marcus said only, "Let us teach him, not punish him." To him, anger was wasted energy. Education was the solution, because the moment you assume ignorance instead of malice, your anger collapses. You stop making it personal. You stop seeing yourself as the target. You stop letting someone's unhealed mind invade your inner peace. Reset, say it with me. They act from confusion. I act from clarity. Step 3, return to your role. Marcus believed that whenever someone provoked you, the most powerful move was not to match their behavior, but to return to your purpose. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the wrongdoer." If someone shouts at you, your role is not to shout back. Your role is to remain composed. If someone disrespects you, your role is not to retaliate. Your role is to remain honorable. If someone tries to pull you into chaos, your role is to stay centered. If someone betrays you, your role is to maintain your integrity. Marcus lived this in ways that shocked even his enemies. During the rebellion led by Avidius Cassius, a close friend who declared himself emperor, everyone expected Marcus to rage, retaliate, destroy. But Marcus said, "Let us offer him mercy, not anger." He didn't seek vengeance. He sought restoration. He didn't rage. He acted with clarity. He didn't abandon his role. He returned to it, the role of a man committed to reason, compassion, and duty. Marcus understood something timeless. You cannot control who tries to provoke you, but you can always control the version of yourself that responds. Returning to your role is the ultimate act of power. Reset, breathe, in and out. The 3-step rule becomes clearer each time you repeat it. Pause. Assume ignorance. Return to your role. This is how anger ends. Not with force, but with mastery. Modern application, imagine applying this rule to your real life. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Step 1, pause. Step 2, assume they're overwhelmed, distracted, stressed. Step 3, return to your role, drive safely. Stay calm, protect your peace. Your partner snaps at you unfairly. Pause. Assume they are tired or anxious. Return to your role, communicate with steadiness, not fire. A coworker tries to humiliate you. Pause. Assume insecurity. Return to your role, professional, grounded, unshakable. Suddenly you realize the world has not changed. You have. And because you change, the world can no longer control you. The Emperor's conclusion. As Marcus once wrote, anyone can hold their breath when life is calm. A wise man breathes even while the storm roars. This 3-step rule is how he breathed through every storm. Pause the first impulse. Assume ignorance. Return to your role. Do this consistently and anger will no longer find a home in you. If this part clarified something inside you, comment "unshakable" below. And now prepare yourself for the final evolution of Stoic emotional mastery. Because in part 5, we explore the last and deepest lesson of Marcus Aurelius. Why true strength is found not in resisting anger, but in understanding the self that lies beneath it. This final insight completes the transformation. Let's continue to part 5. Part 5. The final Stoic evolution. The self that lies beneath anger. Take one final slow breath with me before we begin the last part of this journey in and out, because part 5 is where everything comes together. This is where the Stoic teachings move from the external world, people insults, conflict, into the deepest battlefield of all your inner self. Marcus Aurelius believed that anger was never truly about others. It was a mirror reflecting something unresolved inside us. He wrote, "You are angry at what you think harms you, but the source is within you, not outside." Tonight we uncover that truth, the truth that transforms anger from an enemy into a messenger. Toward the end of his life, Marcus faced the greatest emotional storm he had ever encountered. His trusted general and old friend Avidius Cassius betrayed him, declared himself emperor, and tried to overthrow Rome. The betrayal pierced him deeply. It wasn't politics. It was personal. Those close to him wrote that Marcus withdrew alone for several days, not to plan revenge, but to examine his own mind. And during that time, he wrote one of the most profound lines in Meditations. The mind adapts and turns every obstacle into its own nourishment. He was saying anger is not something you push away. It is something you understand, and through understanding you grow. Reset whisper this: my anger is information. Marcus discovered something radical, something modern psychology also confirms. Anger is almost never about the situation. It is about unmet expectations, wounded ego, fear of losing control, fear of being insignificant, fear of being disrespected, fear of being unseen, fear of being powerless. In other words, anger is a mask that fear wears to look strong. Marcus realized that his anger was not a reaction to Cassius, it was a reaction to his own internal expectations. And when he understood this, his relationship with anger changed forever. He stopped asking, why are they acting this way, and started asking, what part of me is reacting? That is the shift from victim to master. Marcus eventually wrote down 3 questions he asked himself whenever he felt anger rising. 1. What belief of mine is being challenged? 2. Will this matter in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year? 3. What would my highest self do in this moment? These 3 questions act like psychological x-rays. They reveal the truth beneath the emotion. And usually Marcus found that his anger wasn't about the other person at all. It was about a fear inside him that needed to be faced. Reset, say it gently. I am not afraid of seeing myself clearly. When the rebellion collapsed and Cassius was killed by his own soldiers, the Senate expected Marcus to celebrate, expected satisfaction, vindication, victory. But Marcus wept, not for the loss of an enemy, but for the loss of a man who had reminded him of an essential truth. A soul in turmoil harms itself before it harms another. Marcus realized Cassius's betrayal was born not from hatred, but from ambition, fear, and inner disquiet. And in that realization, Marcus felt something astonishing. Not anger, not triumph, but sadness and compassion. Because when you truly understand the mind of another, anger dissolves into empathy. Not soft empathy, but stoic empathy. The empathy that comes from wisdom, not weakness. Marcus's final writings reveal the heart of his philosophy. The obstacle is not outside you. It is the self you have not yet mastered. He understood that real strength is not controlling others, but controlling your interpretations, your expectations, your fears, and the stories you tell yourself. This is why the Stoics said, no man is free who is not master of himself. You do not conquer anger by fighting it. You conquer anger by outgrowing it. Marcus often used the metaphor of a temple within the Minda, quiet place untouched by the world. He wrote, there is within you a sanctuary. Retreat into it when you are disturbed. In that sanctuary, insults cannot pierce you, chaos cannot shake you, fear cannot dominate you, anger has no oxygen. Every Stoic technique, pausing the impulse, assuming ignorance, filtering control, returning to your role leads here, the inner temple, the inner kingdom, the inner authority. Reset, breathe into your temple, in and out, calm, returning. Try this each time you feel anger rising. Say softly, this is a signal. Ask what fear is hiding beneath this. Visualize your inner temple, a space where no one else's behavior can enter. Act from that temple with clarity, calm, and authority. This is how Marcus moved through life. This is how he faced war, betrayal, disease, crisis, loss, and yet kept a heart unbroken. Marcus discovered the truth that ends all anger. Nothing outside can shake a mind that governs itself. Not betrayal, not insults, not disrespect, not chaos, not loss. Because once you master the inner self, the outer world becomes manageable. Anger dissolves, peace becomes the default, and you become, in the Stoic sense, untouchable. In one of his last writings, Marcus said, to live is to meet each moment with the strength of your character. Moments will challenge you. Moments will provoke you. Moments will test you. But your character, your inner self, decides the outcome. And now you have the tools Marcus used. Pause the impulse. Assume ignorance. Return to your role. Filter by control. See the fear under the anger. Retreat to your inner temple. Act from your highest self. Do this and anger will never again own your mind. If this journey changed even one thought inside you, comment untouchable below. And subscribe to Making Life Better for more Stoic wisdom and deep storytelling that strengthens your mind every single day. Because your story doesn't end here. Your strength begins here. And the next chapter, the one you live, the one you write, is entirely in your control. Before you scroll away, stop, because this next choice may shape the rest of your life. You've just learned how to break the cycle of anger that has controlled you for years. But knowing doesn't transform you. Doing does. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is your moment, your invitation to evolve. If this video gave you even one breath of clarity, one moment of strength, one shift in perspective, imagine what would happen if you learned Stoicism every day. Imagine building a mind that cannot be shaken, a heart that cannot be broken, a life untouched by chaos. That is why this channel, Making Life Better, exists, to guide you into becoming stronger, calmer, wiser, one video at a time. So before you go, hit subscribe, not for me, but for the future you're building. For the days life hits hard, for the nights you need clarity, for the moments the world tries to pull you into anger and you rise above it. Join the people who lead themselves, who rise above emotion, who stay unshakable. Click subscribe, and let's build that life together.